and influence of the Black woman, created by Danny J. Bakewell Sr. and presented by Bakewell Media and the Los Angeles Sentinel. Take that. He's the chairman of Bakewell Media and executive publisher of the Los Angeles Sentinel, the nation's oldest and largest African-American newspaper. He's considered to be one of the most influential and prolific builders of community institutions in Los Angeles, like the Brotherhood Crusade, and demonstrated by his vision of throwing the nation's largest block party, the Taste of Soul, attracting more than 300,000 each year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage civil rights leader, entrepreneur, Black community icon, and our passionate advocate of the power, leadership, and influence of the Black woman, Danny J. Bakewell Sr.
Good evening. This is a very, very special occasion. I want you to give yourselves a great round of applause. You know, the power, influence of the Black woman is nothing new. What is only new is that we are recognizing it publicly, and we are raising you up to be celebrated by all. A woman. Before I bring her out, before I say her name, I just want to say that this is a woman that has been my friend for over 30 years. We have been in the trenches, and while there are many things that you see her doing today that absolutely stimulate you, I'm sure, if you're a Black woman or a Black man, if you're just Black in America, even some white people who got really good understanding, she stimulates them too. But she has been on the front line for a long, long time. This is a woman who pioneered legislation in Sacramento to deal with apartheid in South Africa, because the state of California was investing in South Africa. She said, no, we ain't doing that. And she knew how to make it stop. She introduced legislation that barred all of the entities in California from investing in South Africa. Is that phenomenal? She, again, these are things that nobody's talking about today, but they are so relevant. She jammed, she probably shouldn't use that word, but she did. She jammed the FBI and the CIA for bringing crack cocaine, called them out for bringing crack cocaine into the Black community. That was way back in the 80s. This is a woman that has been on the streets. I've been with her, so I know. Not only talking about eliminating gangs in the community, but talking about let's respect the gangs. Let's give them some tools to work with. Let's put them to work. Let's give them some jobs. She has always been doing things that really, really matter in our community, not just things that were peripherally important, things that were definitely important and things that would make a difference in our community. She has pioneered housing in our community. Nickerson Gardens, I mean, she's brought about programs in there that assisted welfare mothers. She is a phenomenal woman, and today we see her dancing on the national scene in ways like you could not imagine. Well, we could imagine it, but I know the white folks definitely couldn't imagine. Because she's doing the same thing. She has become legendary in Congress with just a few words. I'm reclaiming my time. Let's hear it for our good friend, the woman of the evening, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Let me hear it.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Take out T-C-P. Sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me, little rich sway. Sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me. Woo! Little bit, little rich sway. Just a little bit. I get tired. Little bit. Keep on trying. Just a little bit. You're running out of food. Little bit. I ain't lying. Just a little bit.
Didn't you love to see her move up here? And that is the real thing. Before we get into it, and I've told you this before to your face, I don't know if everybody else knows this. I started my career in 1979 as a reporter, and we used to show these clips of this black woman out in California mixing it up with the state assembly, and I said, God, who is that? Maxine Waters, let me write her name down. One of these days, I certainly hope I can meet her because she is amazing. I met you in 1989 for the first time, and I've told you you've been my shero ever since. So to just sit here and have this conversation with you now means more to me than you possibly could know.
Thank you, Pat. I would not like to be with anyone else but you on this stage this evening. You're my friend, you're a wonderful professional, and I am overjoyed every time I watch you on television. And will you just, can you believe she's been there for 30 years? 30 years. And so here we are together.
Yes.
Danny Bakewell has done it again.
He brought us all together.
And he brought not only us all together, but in a way with the style that no one else could do. Is that right?
That's right. You know, if you attended a Brotherhood Crusade event, then you know you're going to get the best. But tonight, certainly outdid himself and the entire Bakewell family, Pamela included.
This is exciting, yes.
You know what she got so excited about besides moving and grooving up there? When you saw Chairwoman of the Finance Committee, Maxine Waters.
Yeah.
And you know what? She said, well, being a journalist and all, Pat, we have to get to some news, because I didn't know I was supposed to keep this real simple.
Yeah.
But we do have breaking news today. Robert Mueller turned his report over to the Attorney General of the United States on a Friday. So, Congresswoman, what are you going to be doing this weekend?
Well, let me just say this. We've been waiting 2 years for this report. Everybody wanted to know whether or not the president had been involved with collusion with Russia. They wanted to know if, in fact, he was guilty of many of the things that he was being accused of. Now, I told them early on who he was. I told them all about his relationship with Putin and the oligarchs of Russia and the Kremlin. We had researched him. We knew an awful lot about him, and so they were patiently waiting for Mueller to come out with a report that said he's obstructed justice and he's colluded with Russia. But I want to tell you, I told them 45 was guilty of all of these things, and what am I going to be doing this weekend? Continuing to call for his impeachment. That's what I'm going to do.
All right. They're rolling on that. You know, I am being very objective as a journalist, but you just heard what Maxine Waters said, and she's going to report to Congress on Monday. I know you're going to be in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go back to some politics, but first, I want people to know a lot more about you. We call you Auntie Maxine, the world over.
Yeah.
But you're also mother to Karen and Edward,
That's right.
wife to Sydney, who is here with you tonight, Mr. Sidney Williams. You have 2 grandchildren.
That's right.
Do they think you're the coolest grandma in the world?
We get along very well. I don't know if they think I'm cool. And let me just say that the public persona is one thing.
Yes.
But, you know, your children are your children. Your grandchildren are your grandchildren, and you're forever telling them what to do and what not to do. So I don't know if they think that's cool or not.
No, you are the fifth of 13 children.
That's right.
Born, yeah, right?
That's right.
She is. Born in St. Louis.
That's right.
What was it like growing up in your household?
Well, first of all, people have to understand that I spent some of my early years in a little place called Kinloch, Missouri. You don't know where it is, but I'm going to help you to understand the geography a little bit. It's right next to Ferguson.
All right.
So you kind of get that, don't you?
Yes.
Yes, 12 brothers and sisters, mother married twice, kind of two sets of children in the family. And of course, we were poor, but we really didn't know we were disadvantaged. We didn't have a lot, but we had good teachers. I went to the James Weldon Johnson grade school. And of course, we were taught the history of all of our sheroes and heroes in St. Louis.
Go St. Louis.
We had neighborhoods
Yes.
where people looked out for each other. We were in and out of each other's homes on a daily basis. We could eat across the street or down the street. It did not matter because our little street in St. Louis, coming out of Kinloch, was like a little town. And so we enjoyed the support of each other. We didn't
everybody.
have an awful lot. Had wonderful teachers. Wonderful
Okay.
teachers in grade school and high school.
You studied ballet too, right?
I sure did.
That's how you learned to dance circles around these people in Congress today. It started way back then. Okay. I know you played sports too, volleyball, basketball.
That's right, all of
okay.
that. Mhm.
You mentioned you had great teachers. Your first foray into public service was as a teacher.
As really an assistant teacher in the Head Start program.
You were, did you volunteer? You were a volunteer coordinator for the Head Start program?
Well, actually, I ended up being the supervisor of volunteer services and parent involvement in the Head Start program. A wonderful and defining experience.
And this is the beginning of public service, though,
That's
for
right.
Maxine Waters.
That's right.
What made you choose those particular fields, teaching, Head Start, volunteering?
Well, the war on poverty had come about, and in that war on poverty, there were a lot of programs that were initiated in poor communities and black communities all over the country for the first time. And Head Start was one of those programs. And it talked about giving these families an opportunity to get their children into preschool and give them an opportunity to be successful later on in elementary school, having had the experience in Head Start. And so it excited us. Me and my friends got together and we decided that we were going to go to work for Head Start. And I applied for it, and my best friend applied for it. She didn't get the job, I did. And so,
I wonder why.
well, I don't know, but
Your
I was
personality, your
terribly
drive, your
interested.
determination, yes.
Yeah. And so went to work in Head Start program, ended up eventually becoming the supervisor of volunteer services and parental involvement, which took us into the political field. And we literally started to tell parents they had to go to school board meetings, they had to know what the city council was doing, and we organized them, and we took them to these meetings. And of course, I began to see the difference in politicians, and I saw that there were some who were really committed and who were working every day to better our communities, and I saw others who did not need to be there.
Who dragged their feet.
Yeah,
Okay. You went into the assembly in 1976.
that's right.
Was it because of your experience as a teacher and with the Head Start program, and as you say, seeing these different politicians, or was there someone in particular who inspired you to run for office?
Well, you know, it was at the height of the women's movement. And so I had started to work with women's groups throughout the city, throughout the county, and some national groups. And it was because of that movement that helped me to understand that it was possible for me to be elected to office. And so the National Organization for Women, few other groups, women's groups got together.
With Bella Abzug.
Well, I was involved with Bella Abzug and Gloria Steinem and all of those women. But the women locally got together, and I want to tell you, these women that you heard Danny Bakewell talk about tonight, Mary Henry, and he talked about Lillian Mobley.
Yes.
And he talked about other women, all of whom I knew and who embraced me and allowed me to come along with them as they were involved in projects. Mary Henry was one of the loudest and greatest voices dealing with the war on poverty, and we had an agency here in Los Angeles that oversaw all of the programs that were funded by the war on poverty. And I just thought she was the greatest thing I'd ever seen, because we would go to meetings and she would take on everybody. She had a big voice, she was intelligent, she was strong, and whether it was Mary Henry or Margaret Wright, who used to absolutely, go to the LAUS school board and sit down, lay down, do whatever she had to do in order to get them to listen to her. And so I am the beneficiary of all of these women that you heard about tonight. And they allowed me to run with them. They allowed me to run with them. And
We're so happy for that.
yes.
But you know what? Then they really got you ready, because you ran with the big boys too now.
Oh, yeah.
All
Oh,
those
yeah.
pictures that we saw,
Yeah.
and that woman